Freedom, mental, psychological, spiritual, financial, relationship, freedom. Freedom, one of my favorite topics with the breakdown today. Short nugget to drop in your lap today as we talk about freedom. Freedom means that you have free dominion. Freedom means a dominion or dome that is free. The dome. This is your dome, your brain. One of the Hermetic laws is all is mental. All is mental. So that means that we don't see with our eyes, we see with our brain. We don't hear with our ears, we hear with our brain. We don't smell with our nose, we smell with our brain. We don't taste with our mouth, we taste with our brain. We don't touch with our hands, we touch with our brain. Everything's frequency, the brain's interpreted. So freedom means breaking free from the limitations of your own perception, your own interpretation skills, or the lack thereof. Let me go get my H2O. I think I left it in another room here. So, man, there's different levels of awareness. I'm a teacher. For some people, the topics I talk about, they could care less. And it's understandable because there's different levels of awareness. We all have different levels of awareness. Some people are leaders, some people are followers. Some people are like what I call intuitives, they're psychics. Some people are creators, they're makers, designers. Some people are loyal, dependable, practical. They're good, honest, hard workers. Some people are what I call freedom fighters, adventurers. They like to travel and see the world. Some people, I have to get my water here. Some people, like myself, we're communicators, lovers, very compassionate people. Some people are investigators, very, very intuitive, research. Some people are executives, eights. They like to execute, make decisions. They're very good decision makers. Some people are nines. They're very sophisticated. They're very, let's use the word magnanimous. They like, fancy things, and they like to make sure that things are in order. Everybody has a gift. Your whole purpose in life is you're here to find your gift. Once you find it, you're supposed to fulfill it or share it. So that's what I'm talking about today. Even though we're talking about freedom, freedom is just nothing but a gift that is in place. Freedom is this ability for you, give me some ice. Freedom is the ability for you to get to find your lane. Freedom means that you're not encumbered, that you're not trapped, you're not limited by the lust of the flesh, the pride of life, or the cares of this world. Freedom means that your dominion, you're free to exercise dominion. That is freedom. Freedom has nothing to do with anyone else. Freedom has to do with yourself. Freedom has to do with your ability to be you. That's what freedom is. Freedom is a feeling. It's a feeling that you establish. That feeling comes from the feel. So the feel affects the feeling, and the feeling affects the feel. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? All is mind. All is mental. Could you imagine if the series I'm doing right now, Black and Broke? Black people, primarily melanated people, there's no such thing as black, but melanated people, we suffer from, what we talked about is out of the book in the series. And the psychological effects of mental slavery, Willie Lynch, the inability to establish sovereignty, the inability to understand how obedience has been replaced or has taken the place of personal obsession. Black people are very obedient. We follow the rules. We have to worship people. We have to worship something outside of the self. That's not freedom. Freedom means that you will have an obsession with yourself, not the flesh, not the ego, but the gift. You have an obsession with God. Freedom is obsession with God because God is inside of the self disguised as a gift. Negro, that's freedom. Let me say that shizness very, very slow so you can understand why you broke. Not you personally, people you know. Now, what is broke? Broke simply means that you got to work. What is work? Work means that you're doing something that doesn't require you to use your gift. Notice I ain't saying nothing about the amount of money you got. Don't call me, bro. Don't come for me unless I call you either. I mean, not you personally, but you know, Negroes, we love to argue and debate, man. Most Negroes dumb as a box of mother. Okay, that's enough stay for another time. I gotta get off my horse. So what are you saying, Doc? Well, all I'm saying, bruh. That was my dessert from earlier. All I'm saying is freedom, homie. That's your job, to establish freedom. Freedom is a dome or a dominion. Freedom is a mental disposition. Freedom. That's freedom, bro. Freedom. The ability to be able to think for oneself. Damn, that's rare. Like seeing an albino tiger in the wild. The average Alkibidan does not have the ability to think for himself. His brain has been donated to the dominant culture, or the reverend, the doctor, or the bishop. Freedom means the ability to break free from the own limitations of your own belief system, your own habits, and your own culture. That's freedom. The dome represents your limitations of your consciousness and your perception. I have limitations. You have limitations. The goal is to transcend your limitations. That's what growth, that's what ascension, that's what salvation really means. Ascension. Ascension means to go from glory to glory. Now remember, there's levels of the game. Everybody's right in their own mind. Everybody's right in their own mind. Everybody's right in their own mind. So you're right. I'm right. We all right in our own mind. Freedom, bruh. Freedom. Freedom is the ability to understand that your belief system, however great it is still a limit, boo. Let's go a little deeper down the rabbit trail. Shall we? Freedom. A free dome. How to free yourself from the limitations of your own thinking. Well, if you look at the intro to the book, I break down the fact that the dome is your worldview. That's the sky. When you go outside, you look up, you see the sky. That's your worldview. You can only fly as high as your identity. Your identity, your consciousness, your awareness determines how high you fly. You can only fly as high as your ID or how you identify. So when you expand your consciousness, you break free from the firmament. Freedom is exactly like blasting off when astronauts go out into outer space and they blast off into outer space, and we watch it on TV, and they have to go through, the atmosphere that to break the restraints of gravity. So your belief system is like gravity. It is the thing that holds you here. It allows you to exist. Your language, your culture, all of these things establish your freedom. Your job is to over and understand that freedom, however great or small it is a limitation. The same way gravity is a limitation here on earth. So the dome isn't over the earth. The dome is over your awareness. The atmosphere isn't over the earth. The atmosphere is over or established by your own consciousness. So your atmosphere, your stratosphere, I think there's 5 or 7 layers of the atmosphere. So your aura is your own personal atmosphere. Your job is to expand it. That's your job. Your job is to expand your atmosphere. You expand your atmosphere by expanding yourself. It's not about anybody else, it's about yourself. It's about expanding your own personal limitations. It's about growing. So in the Bible, when it talks about the waters above, it's talking about your consciousness. In the ancient text, water represents consciousness. So the waters above, when it talks about this is in the Bible, when it talks about the waters at the firmament, when it talks about the waters above and the firmament and all that good stuff, that's what it's talking about. It's talking about your consciousness. It's talking about higher levels of awareness. It's talking about intuition. It's talking about your wisdom. It's talking about the stuff that your ego doesn't like. Even the stars in the Bible, when it talks about this, stars were given for signs and for seasons. Again, that's talking about consciousness. It's talking about perception. It's talking about awareness. It's talking about your ability to over and understand how frequencies work. That's what this is all about. Excuse me. It's all about frequencies, waves, vibration, awareness, love, joy, peace, gentleness, meekness, self-control. All of these are the way that you process information. Everybody on this planet processes information differently. No two people process information the same, and we're not supposed to. We're all different. But the goal is everybody should be growing. We all should be expanding our consciousness. So when you go outside and you look at the stars at night, what you're looking at is different options and different ideas. We manifest, there's like 3 levels: spirit, soul, body. We live in a body, we have access to the spirit. To the soul. The soul controls the body, but the soul gets its instructions from the spirit. So the spirit represents the ether. The spirit represents God. The spirit represents unlimited possibilities. So of those unlimited possibilities, your soul attaches to one of them, and then it manifests in the body. So my job and your job is to understand, how do we use the soul? The soul is the mind. The soul is made of 5 elements: mind, will, emotion, imagination, and intelligence. Your soul is made of 5 attributes and characteristics. Your job is you use your soul to tap into the spirit. Because really the spirit downloads itself into the soul, and then the soul downloads itself into the body. Now, what we do unknowingly is we try to control the soul with the body. Instead of using the soul to control the body controls the soul. Like when your tongue controls what you eat, or when your eyes control your body. So the flesh is not supposed to control the soul. And the flesh surely is not supposed to control the spirit, but it does, because the dominant culture reverse engineered spirituality. So we are spiritual beings. So all of the mystics of old over, under, and understood this. Nowadays, the current religious systems, they don't teach this level of awareness. So we should all over understand how manifestation works. Manifestation works by over understanding that the physical world follows, or the physical world is a shadow of the spiritual world or the mental world. So you have to hold it in your mind, and then it shows up in your hands. So the physical world, the physical events that you are experiencing today are the mental thoughts from yesterday, or last week, or last month, or last year, depending on how fast things manifest in your life. So freedom is the ability to over understand how wealth works, how this world works. I'm gonna show you this picture, or this graph. This image I didn't create. Most of the images I use, I've created myself. This one I found on the internet, and this goes right in line with today's narrative. Now remember, brothers and sisters, all of the ancient text talks about the watchers and the angels, and the ancient text, again, what they were describing was a psychological and biological process. So the Bible is the body, and the body is the Bible. Now it has multiple layers and meanings. So I don't like to argue and debate. So if you believe in the literal word, that is awesome. But just remember, Jesus himself even said, he speaks in parables. So that means that it has an esoteric and an exoteric meaning. It has an outside meaning and an inside meaning. That's freedom. That's knowledge. That's consciousness. That's the ability to perceive and understand. Don't argue and debate and fight, because everybody is right in their own minds. So when somebody says a statement that you don't like, you just let them know, hey, I like that for you. That's good for you. It's not good for me, but it's good for you. It's good for you to experience life because that's your current level of awareness. So I think back to my level of awareness in my 20s. Totally different from where I'm at now. My level of awareness in my 20s and in my 30s and my 40s is totally different than my level of awareness today, because I've grown in awareness. I've grown in mental states. Excuse me. So when you grow in a mental state, what does that mean? Let's take one of my favorite topics, which is money, wealth. Excuse me. And the reason I like talking about money, wealth, is because many of us have a faulty worldview. It's not faulty in that it's bad. It's faulty in that it's not all encompassing. It's like looking at an elephant and you're describing an elephant by rubbing its trunk. So if you're blindfolded and I'll lead you out to an elephant and ask you to describe the elephant to me, you can't use your vision because you're blindfolded. So you grab the elephant's trunk and you start feeling on the elephant's trunk and you start describing its long, you will give me a description that's similar to a snake, because you're only describing the partial. You're not describing the whole. So the issue with most religion, most spirit, most people, especially melanated people, is we're not describing something. We're not experiencing something in its entirety. We are experiencing it in partiality. Something as simple as our heritage. Most of us are not African. Most of us are native of this land of the Americas, based upon most of the research that's coming out now. But they put that term African in front of us. That's just one example. Think about the Moors. Again, another example. Think about, again, Timbuktu, one of the oldest universities. Another example. Think about the Library of Alexandria. Another example. So there's thousands and thousands of examples of how our consciousness has been reduced or limited so that we cannot experience freedom. Because if I have a word and I remove it, if you do not have a word for a thing, the brain cannot envision the concept of the thing. So whoever writes the words, whoever controls the language, whoever controls the narrative, they control the consciousness, they control your perception. Your job is to expand your consciousness and to expand your perception. Example, let's look at this graph or this chart on wealth. Most people think about wealth and they think about money. Wealth is not a thing, it's a pattern. Now, I've been saying this for 30 plus years. And if you look at what it does, wealth does not exist as an object. Wealth is not a person, place, or a thing. Wealth, again, is a construct. Wealth is value. Wealth is stored value. Wealth is perceived value. Wealth is not real. Wealth is perception. Wealth is not a thing, it's a pattern. Most people miss the fact that we think wealth is paper, we think wealth is gold, because the dominant culture determines what we think and what we say wealth is. But wealth is not a thing, it's a pattern, as are most things, because there is no such thing really as mass or matter. Mass and matter is just slowed down, dumbed down light. When you look at it from a physics perspective, which is where I come from, cosmological perspective, we see that everything is a system. Wealth doesn't exist as an object that you obtain. It behaves as a system that you align with. So wealth is a system that you align with. So once you understand that wealth appears only when value is created. So my job and your job is to create value, add value, be an asset. So if you're in a relationship and you're not valuable, well, the relationship is going to end. Whether that relationship is an individual, whether it's on your job. So most people don't understand that if you don't bring no value to the table, if you're not an asset, if you are a liability, boo-boo. Keep your day job because you're in trouble. Because everybody has value. Doesn't matter how old you are, you have value because you got a gift. God gave it to you. Your job is to find it and your job is to express it. Your gift. The Bible says your gift will make room for you and take you before kings, so you have value. Value, again, is created because value is given. Value is recognized. Value circulates. Value, again, is trust that is exchanged. So trust and exchange are stable because the value. So money is a signal inside this system. It's not the source. Let me say it again. Money is a signal inside the system, but it's not the source of the system. Money is a frequency wave vibration inside of a system that is held together or created by God, or source, or the paroma, or the Peru, or the monad. So once you understand what that means that now we must be able to recognize the pattern. And the pattern is simply value. So now you got to understand that, okay, value is stored inside of me. Value was placed inside of me at birth. So I don't have to go get value. I am value. So once you stop trying to get stuff and you be stuff, your whole life changed because you already have. You already are valuable. You cannot get valuable. You cannot make yourself valuable. You was born with value. Now, we may not understand that, or someone may not value your value, but you got value. And people value your value based upon the level of how you value your own value. So once you understand what a wealth God really points to. So when people speak of a wealth God, aka wealth, what are they really saying? What we're talking about is the intelligence of a system. That's what wealth is. Wealth is understanding how resources move. That's what wealth is. Wealth is the ability, again, to understand how opportunities cluster. Wealth is how attention converts into value. Wealth is timing, being at the right place at the right time. When opportunities show up, are you ready? That's wealth. Wealth is about time, and it's about attention. It's about opportunity. It's about resources. Again, notice this is not a being that to summon. Wealth is not something that you summon. It's not something that you call. It's not something that you pray for. We got it backwards. Wealth is a pattern. Wealth, it is a structure already operating. That's what wealth is. Wealth is a structure. It's a system. This structure, this system is already in place. Before we got here, it's already here. It's already operating. So you don't call it into being. It's already here. You just align with it. You enter an agreement or coherence with it. Wealth is something that you enter into. Wealth is a frequency wave of vibration that you align with. It's not something that you create. It's not something that you get. It's something that you are. Your job is to become aware that you already are valuable. I can be valuable. I can increase my awareness. I can increase my emotional capacity to hold more valuable because my nervous system holds my wealth. So if my nervous system, and we talked about this last night in the private message where I revealed it's been illuminated and simplified, black and broke, as we were going through understanding wealth and abundance. And this is so paramount, especially for us melanated people, because we don't understand the chemistry of wealth. So the chemistry of wealth, this is getting off topic just a little bit. This is getting to a lot of my pay-per-view stuff. But the chemistry of black economic power, understanding that wealth is oxytocin. Wealth is vasopressin. Wealth is dopamine. Wealth is the bonding, focus, diligence, vigilance, enthusiasm, and inspiration. That is wealth. That is wealth right there. That's black economic power, bruh. That gets you out from being black and broke. Because we look at the 3 reasons why most Negroes are broke. Because we don't understand that wealth is not a person, place, or a thing. It's a frequency. And so once you understand wealth is privilege. Now I know Negroes don't like to talk about it, but white folks understand it. That's why they do it. White folks carry themselves like they have a right. God-given right. It's their destiny. Manifest destiny. They understand it. Black people don't. We don't really understand how feel-good chemicals are released inside of the brain. So most Negroes are obedient and we're not obsessed. AKA, that's why we broke. We're obedient to a reverend, a doctor, or a bishop. But we're not obedient to the self. We don't add value. So therefore, global oppression, ancestral disconnection, and religious indoctrination leads to chemical castration. Bam! The average of the keep it on is chemically in poverty. Because the brain does not have the ability to produce oxytocin, vasopressin, and dopamine. If your brain does not have the ability to produce those chemicals on demand, you should be able to do that, bruh. You don't need nobody to do it for you. You got this power to do it for yourself, homie, because that's what wealth is. Wealth, money, and abundant prosperity is a feeling. It's an emotional state. It's an urge. It's a desire that comes from a mental disposition that said, when you've seen me, you've seen the Father. But it's a mental disposition that said, I wish a mother beat would. That mental disposition leads to a mindset that creates action. And that action creates results. Holla at your boy. Okay, now we're talking. Now we're preaching. Now we're grinding. Now we're shining. Now we over and understand how to be free. Freedom is a mental disposition. Freedom has nothing to do, you could be homeless and be free. You can be in prison and you can be free. You can be on your deathbed and be free. You can be in a bad relationship and be free. You can be in poverty. I didn't read this in a book. You have this power to trample on snakes and scorpions and all power of the enemy. And nothing by no means shall harm you. Because my brothers and my sisters, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. God doesn't make junk. Brothers and sisters, freedom. There's nothing like mental freedom. Most people are stressed out because what's happening in the world outside, what's going on in the world. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now. There's a lot of things that's going on outside of you. And it affects what's going on inside of you. And it shouldn't. Whatever's going on externally should not override what is going on internally. Your job is to be free. Freedom, again, is the ability to grow in consciousness. Because when you have a problem, when you have an obstacle, when you have an issue, freedom is the ability for you to find a solution. Freedom is the ability for you to figure it the beep, 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 beep out. Freedom. Freedom means you have the ability. You may not have the answer, but you have access to source. You have the access to sovereignty. You have access to spirituality. And that gets you out of religious indoctrination. That gets you out of the feeling of learned helplessness and learned hopelessness. It allows you to overcome all negative habit patterns because you know that this too shall pass. I have 100 answers or 1,000 answers to 1,000 questions that you didn't even know you were supposed to ask. Pick up the 1,000 for 1,000 today. This your boy, Dr. Will Rogers, a.k.a. Master Teacher 33. I'm at the top, grinding and shining. You already know. Go to the website, masterteacher33.com. Click on the link that says 1,000 for 1,000, and I'm going to see you at the top. Let's go. God bless.